This is Alex,
and this is The Drop. Yo, we are so excited to come together finally after, how long it took us to do this?
Oh man, a couple months.
It went from an idea to discussing to more discussing to more discussing to calendar to finally get it done.
Scheduling conflicts, yeah.
Yo, but something that we want to talk about that's been in our hearts and something that we've been thinking of. It's something so common, something that we all actually need and we all look for.
Right.
And that is hope.
Right.
I feel like in this world, something that we all search for is hope. And whether we try to find hope in our jobs or we try to find hopes in our marriage, in our homes, or wherever it is, we all need hope. We all need hope. It's a fact. Especially, I feel like, especially when we go through issues. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Especially when we go through some problems, we feel like, where is our hope going to come from? Right? So as believers, we believe that our hope comes from Christ.
Amen.
Comes from God. And we just want to be transparent with you guys. We just want to share some questions, some thoughts, some stories on how we've been able to find hope, and how we've been able to go through difficult situations and still have hope. Right? So I don't know if you want to start off with something that you've been through.
Yeah, man. I think hope is definitely something, especially now, right? In this time, in our generation, something that we need with so many things going on in our lives, in our world, and in our communities, right? That I think, everyone's looking for hope. Everybody, that's kind of like the only thing left in this crazy time. I mean, what's funny about hope is that you really don't know you need hope until you need hope. Until you're in a hopeless situation, right? Yeah. You have to. It's easy for us to preach about it. It's easy for us to talk about it, define it, to write books about it and smile. And we hope, keep on hoping for something good. But it's not until you go through something, and it's not until you need hope that you realize how big of a deal hope is, or how important it is to have hope. And I think all this ties together in a sense of when we speak about, right, in that bigger picture of what faith is. And hope is so vital because it gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Without hope, you're kind of just kind of walking around, wandering, and kind of aimless. And just, that's where you see people who are just always bitter.
Right.
Bitter and angry, and because they have no hope. They kind of find themselves in this situation where it's like, you know what? I'm never gonna come out of this. This is who I am. This is my destiny to be homeless, to be part of a statistic, to never, to be part, I messed up and whatever, committed a felony, and I'm never gonna get back. And this is me. And because they don't have hope, they kind of find themselves like, whatever, this is my identity. And
it's good that you actually bring that up because so as I told you, I'm actually part of this organization where we mentor kids that are in detention centers. Right. And about 2 weeks ago, I had a situation where one of the kids at one of these centers, they got aggressive with me. Right. They got aggressive and they wanted to fight me, and they were saying that I'm the feds and that all this mess. Right. But something that caught my attention, and this is how it connects, is that the kid grabbed a garbage can at one point. He grabbed a garbage can, like the top, my phone, not the actual, the top of the lid, the lid,
whatever.
And then one of the other kids that were there, he's being aggressive and he's being like, he's making noise in the background and stuff like that. He don't want me and my partner there. But one of the other kids said, "Oh, miss," he's speaking to one of the guards, "Miss, this kid is 15 years old. He has nothing to lose." Right? So he don't care. Like, he doesn't care. He'll throw this garbage can if he has to, type thing. But it's good that you mentioned that sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we just give up hope, and we think that whatever we're going through, that's it. There's no need to fight. There's no need to get better. Like, he probably feels that because he's in that detention center, that say he's lost everything. Mind you, the kid's only 15 years old. He has, what you mean he has nothing to lose?
Yeah.
He has his whole life ahead of him.
Yeah, right.
15 years old. Oh no, he has nothing to lose because he's 15. So it's it's definitely a good point that people sometimes find themselves in situations where they just give up hope. And it's like, you know what? I thought everything was going good for me. Maybe perhaps in this kid's situation, I don't know necessarily his story, but maybe he feels because he's in the detention center, that's it. His family probably gave up on him. Maybe if he had friends, his friends had probably not visited him. So he feels like he has no hope. Wow. So he feels like he has nothing to lose.
Yeah, and that's so relevant, man.
Yeah,
because you know, we see that in our young kids. We see that in our schools. We see that even in our churches, right? Because we both, you know, you're a youth leader in your church, and you know, you deal with inner city kids, and you have this perspective, not only from your background, based on conversations we had. You have your perspective based on your background, how you grew up, which helps you deal with the people that are going through it now.
Yeah.
Because there's something about the present and the future that it connects together, but it almost contradicts, because it's now that we say, man, if I didn't have hope, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
But in the present time, it's easy for you to grab the garbage can and say, I have nothing to lose, because I'm part of statistics. My mom is a drug addict. My mom is in the streets. My mom's a prostitute. My dad's an alcoholic. I don't have a dad. I don't have anybody. I have nothing to lose. But in the future for us, I believe we're the future of these kids. And I'm like, dude, I've been there.
Right.
I was 15 at one point. I did feel how you know, the feeling that you have now. And you know what, like exactly what you said, you know, you have everything ahead of you. You just got to have a little bit of hope. We can tie this in so many different aspects in our lives, our own personal experiences. We can probably find many things in the Bible. I even think about Job, how he lost his house, he lost his kids. His wife was telling him, you know, curse your God, like let this go. What do you have to look forward to? It's over. And he says, no, man, I won't. Yeah. I can't. And I think, you know, maybe we could play around with that idea. You know, what is our hope? Well, you know, you said it earlier, right? God is our hope. And how can we have hope? And just in the same way he grabbed the garbage can, excuse me, and said, I have nothing to lose, because he doesn't see it. He doesn't see his future. He doesn't see, like, dude, I don't see all this. But, you know, the same way God, we don't see God.
So true.
That's an interesting idea to play around with, right?
So how do you think you can see hope in a situation like that?
Yeah.
So you're in this.
A lot of you having questions right now. You got to hear it to the end. We know what we're doing. I think we do. I'm kidding.
We winging it?
No, we're not at all. They're like, what are these guys talking about?
If you're in that moment when you're grabbing the garbage can, let's just keep that as the example.
I love that analogy.
Right?
Like, that's
you're grabbing the garbage can. You don't see any. In a situation like that, everything around you is dark. You feel like your family and your friends have given up on you. How can you switch your view, I guess, or your perspective and see hope? It's hard. I feel like it's difficult, right? Because all your surroundings is, my mom is a drug addict. My father's not there. I come from a broken home. All my family members are probably gangsters. Or my uncles probably are drug dealers or whatever. Or I come from the South Bronx, so I come from this neighborhood that is tough, that is bad, and no one makes it out of here.
Right.
You know, that's all they see. How in that situation can you change your perspective and see, you know what, but I can make it, and see hope? It's
crazy.
What do you think?
And what I believe is that, one, we have platforms and we have opportunities like this podcast.
All right.
Someone's gonna be listening to this and they're gonna say, wow, that's for me. Or a leader's gonna listen to this, or a pastor's gonna listen to it, or maybe one of our friends that we deal with, that we're gonna share with. They're gonna be like, yeah, my little brother needs to hear this, or I need to hear this, or my cousin, hey, hear what these two guys are talking about. This is you. Because this kid had a garbage can in his hand ready to throw it, and what he didn't realize, that Lewis was there. You're his hope.
Oh,
you know what I
that's
mean?
good. Yeah.
So Lewis walked into the situation, and without you even knowing, without him knowing, they're telling him, you're hearing this, and you're like, nah, I need to talk to this kid.
Right.
You know, I'm. You got to tell him, I'm not the feds, but I'm your hope. I don't know. Play around with that.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. I feel that there is no coincidence in God. I was doing this mentoring program at a middle school, and this kid, you know, they were going through certain things. They were going through certain things at home. This kid stood back. People are saying you're gonna fail, you're gonna mess up again, and he didn't see the hope. But I saw it.
All right.
So sometimes it ain't about you seeing it. It's about God putting people in place to help you see what you don't.
That's good.
And that's the only way I can see it, because you're there. That 15-year-old, he's still hopeless.
Right.
But you're there. You can be that hope for him. And not to I don't want to be all over the place, but I think that this is why this is so important that people hear this, because this can be hope for someone who may not see it, who is just in this place where they're like, yo, I the preacher's preaching, but I'm not believing. The leaders, crying. He's emotional up there, but I don't feel it.
I think one of the things that doesn't allow us to see hope when we are in a dark position, or when you're in a dark situation, is that we start really rely on things that are perishable, or things that don't last. Right. So, okay, for example, I got in trouble. I'm using again the kid, right? Maybe he got in trouble, got caught in his detention center. Maybe his relationship, maybe he had a relationship with a friend or a girlfriend or something like that. He was holding on to that as his hope.
Wow.
Right. So now when that breaks off, he feels like he doesn't have any hope anymore. Or some of us rely too much, let's just say, on our bank account. Maybe that's more realistic, right? So now I'm good. Even if I get fired because I got X amount saved in the bank, I'm good, right? Because your hope is put on that money. But what happens when that money finishes? Let's just say you get fired from your job.
Right.
That money that you had in the bank, now you run through your savings, and now what? Now you don't have any hope anymore because you haven't found a job yet, and you just ran through all your money because you had to pay rent and you had to pay your mortgage and all that stuff. So sometimes we put our hope on things that perish, right? Sometimes some of us, they rely, let's just say, on the government. Right? As long as the government is good, then our hope is alive.
Right.
But then what happens to the government? Like anything, I'm trying to think of different examples that sometimes we rely on these things as hope, as a sense of hope. And when those things break off, then we don't have any hope. So now that's how come we fall back to that dark space and we say, you know what? I don't have this relationship anymore. My parents gave up on me, or I don't have this job, or I don't have the money. There's nothing to live for. I have nothing to lose because everything that I had, I lost it, right? But there is a verse that comes to mind. Actually, is more of a story where I believe is the prophet Isaiah. No one quote me on this, but I believe is this.
I don't have my phone either. Come on.
But the prophet, what's the prophet that says, the year that King
Uzziah died. That's died. Isaiah. Yeah,
that's
prophet,
Isaiah. Yeah. Oh, I was right. Okay. So I told you we wasn't winging this.
No.
But the year that King Uzziah died. He says that he has a vision, right? And the vision was that he saw God sitting on a throne, right? And then he saw these two like angels, right?
Yeah.
They were covering him, and then he saw that God that was sitting on the throne. He had a long robe, right? That has hope written all over it. I'm gonna tell you how. See, the King Uzziah, right? When you study the scripture and you look into history and all that stuff, you can see that King Uzziah was actually a good king. He was a good king. He did something, he disobeyed, and eventually ended up passing away. But generally speaking, he was a good king, right? And he did believe in the Lord, and he did many things for the land, right? Like for the people. He did many good things for the people. I believe he created like an army, like the defense system was on point because of him. Like he put many things in place that helped the people out, right? So when he died, it was actually, you could envision it was probably a sad moment, right? And it's interesting because during that sad moment, right, King Uzziah died. Like, we don't know who the next king is going to be. The next king, we don't know if that next king is going to be just as good as King Uzziah, right? We don't know what's going to happen, right? All their hope was on these people. Remember, before King Uzziah, there was about 10 kings that passed before him that weren't good, right? So they were probably like, yo, we finally got a good king, and now he dies. Man, all our hope is done. Yeah. All our hope is gone. Right, he had put so many good things in place for us, and now the one leader that we hoped for, right after David and all that, because David was like a great king, and then came Solomon, and then came a bunch of bad kings, or people that were just messed up. They finally got to Uzziah, and he was good. He passes away. Now all their hope is done. All their hope is gone. But the prophet says the year that he died, I saw the Lord on the throne, right? In the high place, right? And I'm paraphrasing. And basically what it's saying is that although the king died, the real hope, which is God, is still on his throne.
That's good.
So although your relationship finished, although your money ran out, although your parents gave up on you, although your marriage ended up in a divorce, the Lord is still standing on his throne. Therefore, our hope shouldn't be on these things that perish, on these things that finish, on these things that come to an end, but our hope should be on the one that's always on the throne, which is God. Right? So no matter what happens in our life, no matter how dark things may be, our hope should be on God, because he is the only one that can be moved. He's the only one that can't be defeated. He's the only one that doesn't come to an end. He's the beginning and end. So why put our faith or our hope, better said, right, on things that perish? Just put our hope on God, because he's the one that no matter what happens down here, he's still in his throne. Yo, make sure you check us out next week as we continue this conversation about hope. We definitely get more personal. What you think?
Oh yeah, man. We kind of build up this week on the topic, and then next week we definitely get deeper. So you cannot miss this episode.
Make sure you subscribe, you tune in, you share, you repost, whatever it is that we do with these files.
Right.
All right. So the important thing is to get the word out there. Cool.
Right.
So see you guys next week.
Peace out.